What is up, my fellow Chibits? Hopefully all of you are having a very good day today, no matter where you live, no matter what time it is. Hopefully you're having a very good day. And so with that being said, Fate is finally back. Fate, Apocrypha, it is finally back with episode 13. We've been waiting for a bit since last week. It was a recap episode 12.5. We finally have episode 13 that came out this week, and it was glorious. I want to say this was a very good episode to start back for Fate after that break we had. And so, it seems like anime is starting to kick up for fall of anime 2017. I mean, we already had stuff coming out yesterday, like Gintama, and then that one series that I made a joke video on, and then now we have this, and UQ Holder also came out today, which I'm probably not going to do, but I'm basically happy that a lot of anime is starting to start up once again, because without my anime, it gets a little bit, boring, because I just love watching anime, and have Fate back just puts a smile on my face. So anyways, getting right into it, let's talk about how amazing Mordred was in this episode and what she did to Astaphal's master. Oh, thank you, Mordred. Like, you saved this episode. I'm just gonna say right now, I do not like Astaphal's master. Don't get me wrong, I like Yuri. I'm a big fan of Yuri. I like them dojins and stuff. But I just, in terms of, like, writing, like, if I'm trying to watch a series to be serious, okay, like a serious series and all that, trying to like the plot and characters and stuff, I don't like characters like Astaphal's master. I mean, the way she acted and the way she was just so crazy, she was so one-dimensional. She was a very one-dimensional character. She was one of those mages you would see in Fate that just feels like they're above everyone else and all that. They believe that they need to be able to control anyone, and, when they can't control someone, they get really upset about it and triggered, and basically that's what happened, and why the character got like she was, and why she was just so angry and going psychotic, was because she couldn't really control Astaphal at all properly in this episode, or her actions throughout the episodes. So basically, it's understandable why she acted like this. Like, I understand her reasoning and what she did, but I don't like her as a character just because she was just very one-dimensional. There was just nothing really going on there besides that, and I'm like, she's just a stereotypical mage in Fate and all that, and I'm like, I'm just not a big fan of her. And as she's just going on her rant and stuff towards, Astaphal and Sig, just saying what she says, and then, basically commanding, Astaphal to get rid of Sig and, kill him, I was like, please, someone just put a stop to this person. Like, please, she's just so annoying, and she just needs to be put down, because obviously she is not a good master at all, and it's kind of shocking, really, because when you think of masters and, riders and stuff, like, rider class servants and their masters usually have a very good relationship, and I figured maybe something would happen and they would have a good relationship, but that apparently was not the case whatsoever. But I'm glad to see that Sig did something very good in this episode, and he has now become the master of Astaphal, because if it wasn't for, that, Astaphal would have died in this episode, disappeared. So, I do like the fact that now we're getting back into that common trait with riders and their masters. Riders and masters have a good relationship, and knowing how Sig and, Astaphal has been, in terms of the relationship and all that, it's obvious that, looking at it, maybe this was the proper, servant-master relationship we needed for a bit when it came to this series. Anyways, though, let's get back into Mordred. So, Mordred, she comes in and just off with the head when it comes to the master of Astaphal, and I'm like, yes, thank you so much. I just cannot stand that character. When she came in, she looked at us like, don't worry about it, and just, has her sword over her shoulder and just walks away. I'm like, I like her. I'm like, she's already been best girl, but seeing her again in this episode, what she did, I'm like, thank you, Mordred. You did a very good job. You're doing God's work in this episode. You're doing good work. So, with all that being said, basically a contract is formed between Astaphal and Sig, which, honestly, in a way, was expected, but not expected. Like, okay, I figured that Sig would be very vital, and he would be someone that would, obviously be in a party constantly with Astaphal, and when you got to the moment when she was disappearing, it was kind of obvious that he would become her master, and he did a very good shot. I'm really glad that he did become her master, or his master. Wow, the trap's getting to me. Oh, man, the trap is getting to me. I just said her. Come his master. Anyways, I'm glad that, you know, he became Astapul's master, and Astapul now doesn't have to disappear, and will be still relevant in this series, and now he has an actual good master to help him out, instead of being someone that's very possessive or controlling. I'm glad to see that. So, moving over, we go into the main conflict of the episode, which is Shiro and his plan for all of mankind. So, as we know, his objective, he wants to make it to where everything is at ease. He wants to help out all of humanity, you know, kind of make world peace, basically. And we don't really know exactly what he means completely, because there's many ways you can interpret what he wants into chaotic and darkness, so we don't really know what he wants, if it's really good or not. Regardless, though, he's trying to help everybody out from what we can understand from his words, and it makes a divide between all of the heroic spirits. When it comes to the black and red factions between the heroic spirits, all of them kind of get shifted around, and there's no longer like a faction between red and black anymore. It's straight up like between ruler and ruler class servant. That's basically what's going on here. You have it to where, you know, Jeanne d'Arc, she is the, you know, the leader of one side, while, you know, Shiro, he's the leader of another side. That's basically how you can look at the sides right now when it comes to the conflict, is that there is no longer the red and black faction. It's just, you know, two sides, basically, of the ruler class servants trying to fight for what they want. For instance, you have one side trying to fight for the order and balance of the Holy Grail War, and then one wants to obtain their wish and save all of humanity, which goes against what the Holy Grail wants, because the Holy Grail, you know, it shouldn't allow stuff like this. Like, you know, heroic spirits shouldn't do something like this, or ruler class servants shouldn't do something like this. So basically, you have it to where both sides are doing it for their own motives. One's following the rules, and one wants to break the rules to get their own wish and help everyone else out. Now, if you look at both sides, honestly, I side with Shiro. If Shiro's actually truly meaning what he says, and he does want to help out humanity, then I can't really fault the man for it. I can't put the man down. I mean, his actions and what he's done is kind of questionable, but overall, what he wants to obtain seems like he's really trying to be a good dude overall. So I am looking forward to seeing what his real motive is, like what he really wants to obtain, because we need a little bit more details on that. So we have it to where a bunch of heroic spirits from either the red or black faction are now joining forces on their respective sides. You have it to where, you know, the caster and all that from the black faction, I think, or is it red faction? It's the black faction. Basically, the caster from that faction is going over to the red faction, or, you know, in this case, Shiro's faction, and he's now helping out. So he has now betrayed his master, and at the end of the episode, it makes you question, is his master going to be okay? So, let's talk about that for a second. So, as we know, when it comes to command seals and stuff, command seals are a very powerful form of magic. They can, you know, force a servant to do anything. For instance, we've seen many examples throughout Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night to where a command seal is used, and a command seal can literally force a heroic spirit to do something that they would never want to do. And we've already seen this in the last episode, when Vlad was forced to use his noble phantasm. It went against what he really was, or what he wanted to be. It went against his very core being, but he did it because that's what command seals can do. In this case, command seals are very vital, and if you have command seals, it's basically meaning that you have a right, actually, to be a master of a servant. And in this case, Shiro, he has now gotten everybody's command seals. He has all of the, you know, red factions, you know, command seals, and he now can be the master of all of them. Even if some of them disagree with him and don't want to be with him, for instance, like Achilles or Atalanta, it doesn't matter. If he uses his command seals and he forces them, they can't do anything about it. They'll be forced to work with him. So that's what I'm trying to get at. So at the end of the day, even though Atalanta and Achilles probably don't want to work with him, they might be forced to, unless, since we do know that the ruler class servants, they have their own command seals, know for a fact that, you know, Jeanne d'Arc has showcased this, then there is a possibility that maybe they can overwrite whatever a master wants, like what Shiro is trying to do. We'll see where that goes. Regardless of that detail, though, I do wonder how this is going to play out, because with now seeing how both factions are now a part of their own respective rulers, it makes me wonder what side is Mordred a part of. Mordred is the only one really in this fight right now with a master that's kind of separated from both sides. Like, when you look at it, okay, you have it to where, you know, Jeanne d'Arc's side, and then you have Shiro's side. They're both doing their own things, what they want to obtain. But Mordred isn't someone that I think would really work with either Shiro or Jeanne d'Arc. I just don't think so. So Mordred is kind of like this neutral party throughout this entire conflict, and then you also got to factor in, you know, the actual Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper as well is like a neutral party in this because Jack doesn't really have any side as well. So that's another thing we need to really factor in as well. So what side is Jack the Ripper going to be on once everything is said and done? And will eventually Jack the Ripper choose a side, or will, Jack the Ripper stay in middle ground similar to how Mordred is right now? But overall, if I had to take any type of guesses, I'm going to assume that Mordred would eventually join Jeanne d'Arc's side. If I had to say she had to join a side, I feel like she would join that side, because looking at everything, it seems like, Shiro's side is the evil faction. That's just what it looks like to me. Especially if Castor actually hurts his master in the next episode, because we don't really know. I mean, there's a lot of build-up and foreshadowing been going on in recent episodes where it's implying that Castor's probably going to use his master as some form of core for a golem. I mean, we do know he doesn't care about the Holy Grail War. Like, he's already stated he doesn't care about the Grail or anything. He just wants to further his work. And so knowing how it's already been previously established that, homunculus, they're not really that good to make what he wants, I feel like he might use his master to be able to make a golem he wants. I could see something like that happening. So we'll see where that goes, because that has been implied and hinted at in recent episodes, but I don't know if that's going to happen, because from what we saw in this episode, he's like, please don't hurt my master. So I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. So yeah, that's about it when it comes to the episode of Fate this week. It was a good episode. It was a straight up good episode. It had a lot of details. I'm glad to have it back. Good music overall. There was some animation derps here and there, but that's to be expected from A1 Pictures. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you hate this episode? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my content, please leave a like on this video. And if you enjoy what I do, please help me and support me on Patreon. The link is in the description. And subscribe if you continue to enjoy my content. So I love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.